Welcome to our exploration of the tangled roots of the conflict between Guyana and Venezuela, a complex geopolitical issue deeply rooted in colonial history. This video will dive into the origins, major events, international responses, and the current state of this enduring dispute. To fully understand this conflict, we must journey back to the colonial legacies and territorial claims that have shaped the destinies of these nations. The controversy primarily revolves around the Essequibo region, a territory rich in resources, which both nations claim as their own. This discord has not only strained the relationship between Guyana and Venezuela, but also posed challenges to regional stability in South America. In the following sections, we will explore the historical context, significant events, international involvement, and the prospects for resolution. This geopolitical conflict, while regional, has broader implications affecting international diplomacy and economic interests, drawing attention from global powers and international organizations. As we proceed, the nuanced dynamics and the stakes involved for both local populations and external actors will become apparent. Now, let's dive into the historical background of the Guyana-Venezuela conflict, which traces back to the colonial era when European powers carved up South America without regard to the indigenous populations. After gaining independence, Venezuela inherited borders that were vaguely defined by Spanish colonial rule. In contrast, Guyana, then a British colony, received its boundaries from British decrees, leading to conflicting territorial claims. In 1899, an arbitration tribunal in Paris attempted to resolve these disputes by setting the boundary largely in favor of Guyana. Venezuela initially accepted this arbitration award, but later contested it, claiming the process was influenced by collusion between Britain and the tribunal judges. This rejection has underpinned Venezuela's subsequent claims and has been a constant source of tension. The discovery of significant oil deposits in the disputed area in recent decades has intensified the stakes. Both nations, seeing the potential economic benefits, have ramped up their rhetoric and actions to assert sovereignty over the Essequibo region, thus complicating peaceful negotiations. The area's rich biodiversity and potential mineral wealth continue to make it a flashpoint in the conflict. Over the years, several key events have marked the escalation of the Guyana-Venezuela conflict. One of the most significant was the reassertion of claims by Venezuela during the latter half of the 20th century, particularly after the discovery of oil in the 1960s. This period saw an increase in military posturing and diplomatic tensions between the two countries. Another pivotal moment occurred in 2015 when ExxonMobil, under a concession from the Guyanese government, began offshore oil exploration in waters also claimed by Venezuela. Venezuela's swift condemnation and its declaration of a unilateral maritime defense zone highlighted the volatile nature of the dispute and brought it into the international spotlight. Further exacerbating tensions in recent years, there have been numerous incursions by Venezuelan forces into disputed territories and Guyanese waters, which have been met with international condemnation. These actions have not only heightened tensions, but also prompted Guyana to seek international legal recourse, demonstrating the conflict's increasing complexity and the difficulty of bilateral resolution. Section 4. International interventions and solutions. The international community has played a critical role in mediating the Guyana-Venezuela conflict. The United Nations has been involved since the early stages, urging both nations to engage in peaceful dialogue and respect international law. In 2018, the UN referred the dispute to the International Court of Justice, a move that was welcomed by Guyana but criticized by Venezuela. Regional bodies such as the Organization of American States have also been active, offering platforms for dialogue and pushing for peaceful resolutions. These organizations emphasize the importance of stability in the region and the need for a lawful and amicable settlement that respects the sovereignty and rights of both nations. Moreover, several countries, including the United States and members of the European Union, have expressed support for a judicial resolution to the conflict, advocating for adherence to the ICJ's decisions. This international backing is crucial for maintaining pressure on both parties to seek a peaceful solution, and for ensuring that any resolution is respected and implemented. Section 5. Current state and future prospects. As of now, the Guyana-Venezuela conflict remains active, with the case ongoing at the International Court of Justice. Guyana seeks a final and binding judgment that will affirm its sovereignty over the disputed territory, hoping to end decades of uncertainty and conflict. Venezuela, while less supportive of this route, has found itself increasingly isolated due to its political and economic crises. The potential for oil and mineral resources in the region adds a layer of complexity to the resolution prospects. These resources can provide critical revenue for either nation, but also pose a risk of escalating conflict if not managed judiciously and equitably. How this aspect is handled will be crucial for the long-term peace and stability of the region. Looking forward, the international community's role remains pivotal. Continued diplomatic pressure and support for legal resolutions can help steer both nations towards a peaceful settlement. Additionally, internal pressures within Venezuela and the growing international stature of Guyana might influence the dynamics of the negotiations and potentially lead to a resolution. Section 6. Conclusion: Pathways to Peace. In conclusion, the Guyana-Venezuela conflict, with its deep historical roots and complex modern implications, presents a significant challenge to regional peace and stability. The path to a peaceful resolution lies in continued international involvement and adherence to international law, especially the forthcoming decisions of the International Court of Justice. For both Guyana and Venezuela, finding a way to coexist peacefully and exploit shared resources responsibly could transform a historical conflict into a model for international cooperation and development. As the world watches, the hope is for a resolution that not only settles the territorial dispute, but also fosters long-term peace and prosperity for the people of both nations. The resolution of this conflict will require patience, diplomacy, and a commitment to justice. The international community, along with the leaders of both countries, must work tirelessly to ensure that the future brings peace rather than perpetuating past grievances.